Dakota and Chris, a Hollywood tale that began and ended in silence. Not every silence marks the end of love, but sometimes the loudest screams come precisely from there. Under the dazzling lights of Hollywood, a love lived away from the public eye. Dakota Johnson and Chris Martin's relationship initially didn't reveal much to anyone. No exaggerated poses, no red carpet shows, no romantic tweets exchanged between them. Their relationship started as a silent fairy tale. But as the years went by, this silence turned not into peace, but pressure. At the time, Dakota Johnson was just emerging from the 50 Shades phenomenon. Her name was on everyone's lips and her career was rising. Chris Martin, the timeless frontman of Coldplay, was still affected by his conscious uncoupling from Gwyneth Paltrow. When the two were first seen together in 2017, everyone thought, this couple looks perfect together. Quiet, deep, mature. And yes, that's how they were, at least at first. Their early days were filled with low-profile walks in Malibu, house parties, and dinners away from the spotlight. Their relationship was described as low-key goals. But inside, Dakota's silence was not born from her personality. It was an effort to adapt. Chris, on the other hand, loved silence. But what he loved was not silence itself. It was control. Romantic or controlling. As 2018 progressed, the couple's outward harmony began to mask inner conflicts. Dakota started receiving more film offers, meetings with directors, rushing from one set to another. But jealousy began to grow inside Chris. According to insiders, Chris tried to steer Dakota's rising career more than support it. For example, it'd be better if you don't attend this gala. This shoot will last too long. We won't spend time together. Let's stay home. I miss you. What seemed like innocent requests at first gradually turned into emotional captivity. Someone close to Dakota said she was no longer Chris's partner, but more like a roommate. Everything revolved around him. An endless behind-the-scenes life. Have you noticed? They never appeared hand in hand on the red carpet. They never talked about their love in interviews. They didn't even acknowledge each other on social media. Was this a choice or a suppression tactic? Dakota's words in a 2018 interview with Tatler made more sense now. I won't talk, but I'm happy. Was she really happy? Years later, those words seem less like freedom and more like limitation. 2019, cracks begin to surface. The first major break in their relationship happened in 2019. The press said they took a few months off, but the truth was deeper. Reports said Chris wanted more children. Dakota was unsure. She was in the middle of her life, her freedom shrinking. They reconciled, but things didn't return to how they were because their silence was no longer peace. It was an escape. A deepening rift. Over the years, between 2021 to 2023, Dakota experienced a career explosion. Cha-Cha Real Smooth, The Lost Daughter, and then her entry into the Marvel universe with Madam Web. And Chris? He was still touring with Coldplay, but now he traveled alone. The small vacations together, backstage moments, and studio sessions were gone. Paparazzi noticed first. Dakota walking alone. Chris alone in Malibu. Then fans. Aren't they following each other anymore? Why haven't they appeared together for 3 months? June 2025, silence breaks, but not whispered, collapsed. In June 2025, Daily Mail broke the news, Chris Martin and Dakota Johnson. It's over. But neither Chris nor Dakota made any statements. They chose their familiar silence. But this time, fans weren't silent. Social media flared. Dakota wasn't even wearing her ring. Chris Martin's new album clearly has a breakup theme. This ended 6 months ago. Now they're just announcing it? Was it really love or just a role? What seemed like a quiet but strong relationship now is described as silent because suppressed, long because always postponed, deep because unresolved, and ended because one of them gave up. That person was Dakota. Revenge era or manifesto of freedom? Dakota Johnson returns to the stage. Dakota didn't just break up with Chris Martin, she also distanced herself from who she used to be. At first, everyone saw them as a calm, peaceful couple, a relationship filled with the privacy that a rock star and an indie star needed. But inside, things were different. This silent love that started in 2017 slowly turned into a dark shadow. Chris began resisting Dakota's rising career. If she didn't answer his calls for a few hours, he would fly into a rage. And it wasn't just a long-distance relationship. Even in the same city, he was a control freak. He couldn't stand her going out with friends, preferring she stay home. Many might see this as romantic possessiveness, but in reality, it was suffocating control. Dakota's spirit was crushed under this pressure. While her career was ascending, Chris did everything to keep her in the shadows. Going to red carpet events alone, doing interviews solo, wasn't a coincidence. Chris wouldn't let her shine. The suffocating atmosphere became unbearable for Dakota. Quietly, decisively, and without telling anyone, she left. But the void was quickly filled by Pedro Pascal, the star of The Mandalorian and The Last of Us. Dakota and Pedro grew close on the set of their new romantic comedy. Social media and the press noticed this warm energy, and fans began asking, are they really together? Dakota laughed off the rumors. We're just very good friends, she said. But the gossip didn't stop. While Dakota's confidence and freedom surged, Chris faded from the spotlight. He made no statements, no social media posts, and gave no sign of a comeback with new albums. Rumors say Chris was shattered, unsure what to do watching Dakota heal and shine so quickly. Some even suggest Chris's silence isn't just indifference, but a calculated strategy. Some say he hasn't lost hope and secretly plans a return. Dakota's circle, however, tries to keep her safe from harm. One thing's clear, Dakota is now a completely different person. She's charting her own path, no turning back. While Chris's life was in turmoil, Dakota Johnson set her life to a different rhythm. Dazzling red carpet looks posing in Europe's most glamorous cities, fun times with friends like Kate Hudson and Ricky Martin marked her era of freedom and rebirth. Fans on social media called her the heroine living her Nancy Meyers movie's third act. Everyone saw and talked about how she was no longer just Chris's ex, but the strong, independent lead in her own life. Meanwhile, Chris tried to reappear on stage and in interviews, but remained in Dakota's expanding shadow. Among fans and tabloids, the growing consensus was that Chris desperately struggled to return to his old days, while Dakota had already moved on. A source claimed Chris got close to Dakota's mother, Melanie Griffith, and was even ready to propose. But insiders thought it was more of a PR move than sincere change. The new era's shine and Chris's silence. Dakota's breakup was not only an end, but a new beginning. The young starlet of Hollywood was charting her own course after heartbreak, control, and limitations. Her story was no longer just an ex-lover drama, but a victory of a woman freed. Behind-the-scenes gossip described how much Dakota changed, shone, and found herself in recent months. She was no fragile girl anymore, but a bold woman, lighting her own star in a sky full of stars. Pedro Pascal was a key figure in Dakota's new life. Their natural chemistry and joyful closeness sparked rumors. On and off set, their warmth gave fans hope something real was happening. Pedro mirrored Dakota's new energy, relaxed, cheerful, free like never before. This new chapter was just the beginning of Dakota's freedom tour. But on the other side, Chris Martin's silence screamed. No media words, no social moves. This was unusual for him, once so keen to tell his own story.